So I'm in my office. I did a treatment on my chin. I just had only one little baby hair coming out, so I said, let me get rid of that. Anyway, so I wanted to explain to you guys why I chose the Splendor X by Lumenis as my preferred laser hair removal machine over one of the other gold standard machines, which is the Gentlemax Pro. So these are the reasons why. Now, I don't get me wrong. I love the Gentlemax Pro, and before I started using this machine, I was on the Gentlemax Pro. And when I was going to open up my business, the Gentlemax Pro was the one that I was going to get. Like, that was my baby, and I was stuck on that machine. But I found this machine, which, on paper, it was so much better. It had so many, benefits to it, but I was still a little iffy, you know. So I did a lot of research. I contacted the company. Not only that, I tried out the machine for myself, and wow, huge difference. But yeah, so the Gentle Max Pro, is a good machine, and I still consider it, a good machine. But this too is the gold standard as well. So it's up there. But there are reasons why I chose this one over the Gentle Max Pro. My machine has a dual cooling, so it's a cool touch when it's touching you, and it has the Zimmer, the air blowing. That air is really cold, so that plays a huge part in your comfort, on whether you feel it more or less. So some machines don't have that dual cooling system. They may only have one system, and so you may feel it more. I feel like the Candela from Gentlemax Pro, that is a really good machine. Like that, before I got this machine, that machine was my baby. But with the Candela, it has cryogen cooling, so cryo cooling. So what it does, it only shoots the cryogen right before it zaps the laser. And the cryogen mostly stays the same. So even if you're raising the energy in the laser, most of the time the energy with the cryogen is left the same, and it doesn't. To me, in my opinion, I've done many sessions with that, so you don't feel a difference in the cooling. It's still you still feel it. Now with Candela and Gentlemax Pro, you can have treatments. Let's say you're going to get 8 or 12 treatments. You can do really good till up about, I would say, the 6th treatment. I would say, you're good. You got this. You get through the procedure, and you're done. You can handle it. But once you're getting to between 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, you're going to feel it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Definitely going to hurt. And I don't feel that the cryogen is enough at that point. No matter how high you can't put the cryogen too high either, because you risk hypopigmentation for darker skin like me. So it's just not enough. Where I feel like this Zimmer, you can raise the Zimmer up. You can raise that cooling, or you could just leave the cooling on for longer. And the longer you have it on there, you can't even have the Zimmer on too long on that certain body part, because you could even get frostbite. So it is extremely cool. So that helps so much in comfort, and this is why I like the Splendor X by Lumenis, because of that. So yeah, you're still feeling, right? You're gonna still raise it up, and you'll feel it more. But this cooling system, it is, to me, it's night and day compared to the Candela Gentlemax Pro. So that's my opinion, and that is the opinion of a lot of clients who have gotten laser hair removal with the Candela, and then gotten the treatment with the Splendor X. To them, it's night and day. It's a big difference. So it's just a lot more comfortable, and that's one of the reasons why I chose the Splendor X by Lumenis, because of that dual cooling system, and because I felt the difference myself in comfort. Along with the fact that this machine, this tip, also has a vacuum. Okay, now every technician knows that when you're doing laser hair removal on clients, that hair is burning, and those are plumes, and those plumes can be toxic. And you want to, you want to wear your mask and everything, when you're doing these services on clients. But with this machine, with the Lumenis, you have that vacuum, right? And it's sucking up most of those plumes, so it doesn't smell as bad as if you were going to do the services with the Gentamax Pro. So that's another thing, and that's, to me, that is so vital, especially for the technicians, because you're constantly doing laser hair removal and you have all these plumes, in the air, and you don't want to be smelling burnt hair all the time, So this, to me, as a technician, and using this machine, I see the difference, or I smell the difference, right? And even though, you still want to wear a mask, I still wear a mask, but it is so much different. There's less of that burning smell in the room, and it's safer for you as the technician, and also safer for the client as well. So you don't have to be breathing in those plumes. That's another reason why I got the Splendor X by Lumenis, because of that. That was extremely important to me, extremely. So that and the cooling system. I know there was something else also. Another reason why I got the Lumenis by Splendor X is because it has the square tip. And this square tip, if you notice, I'll show you here real quick if you can see. Notice that it's square, right? So most of them, like with the Candela, the tip is the spot size, so that tip is round, which means that if you're getting at that round circle, when you're going to the next, you have to overlap the circles. Because it's a circle, and so you want to make sure you're getting every inch of the skin of, where all the hairs are growing. So you're overlapping, and when you overlap, you have a higher chance of burning a client because you're overlapping. You don't really want to zap that area, more than once. It all depends. But so you just have a higher risk of burning a client when you're overlapping. You're supposed to overlap when you have that round tip, and it should be safe for the most part. It should be, you should be fine, but you run a risk for someone who can be sensitive, or depending if the settings are really high. There's always risks to any and everything. But the square tip allows you to just go to the next square without having to overlap, so you run less of a risk, so you're not zapping that small portion twice, especially if the settings are hot. And because it's a square tip, it gets more of that area. The last reason why I bought the machine, which is possibly the best reason, is because this machine uses a dual wavelength. So with every shot that you're shooting, you're using not only the Alexandrite laser, but you're also using the YAG. So with the Alex and YAG combination, you can only use that on people with skin tones Fitzpatrick from 1 through 5. And if you use it on someone who is a 5, the Alexandrite wavelength is extremely low. I think it's only like, it's a 2. But usually I would lower that 2 to a 1. Just always, just to be extra precautious, extra safe. And I like that it uses the combo of the Alex and the YAG. Now, if you are Fitzpatrick 6, it does not give you the option to use the combo at all. So you can only use the ND YAG. And that's, that's what you want to do. You want to be safe. And every time I'm using the settings, I make sure that I'm extremely safe. And I also take into account not only the skin tone, but, your ethnicity, so I'll ask you, where are you from? Where's your family from? So that also depends, because you can be extremely light-skinned, right? But have darker undertones depending on, where your family is from. You can get that a lot, like in Asians, for example. They can be extremely, extremely light-skinned with dark hair, and you can think that they are a lower Fitzpatrick, I guess, between 1 and 3, but you have to treat them as a 4 Fitzpatrick, as a darker skin tone, and you have to concentrate more on the YAG laser, than on the Alex, because you run a risk of burning them because they have darker undertones. And so that's what you have to be careful for. And that's why I make sure that, you know, based on the skin tone and your ethnicity, then I'll play around with the settings. And I am always extremely cautious. So even though the machine will give me a low, extremely safe setting, I always try to be even safer than that, and I'll lower the settings, especially or mostly on the Alex side, the Alexandrite side. So yeah, that's it. My clients are extremely happy so far with their results. I mean, I get calls and texts all the time on how happy they are. And I'm glad to be in a field where I can give, you know, my clients results and just take care of them. And anyway, so those are the reasons why I chose the Splendor X. I made sure that when I was going to buy a machine that I wanted to get the best machine out on the market. Not only did I want to get the best machine, I wanted to test it for myself, right? Because you can, you know, things can be written down on paper and it can look good, but, you know, I need to know what it feels like for myself, you know, because if I haven't tried it myself, there's no way that I'm going to recommend it to anyone. The only con about this machine that I felt in the beginning was how big it is, and also that it had to come with a Zimmer. With the Gentle Max Pro, it doesn't come with a Zimmer. It's just the machine itself, and it's shorter, it's smaller, so it can fit anywhere. And it uses the cryogen, so the cryogen is within the machine itself, so it's not taking up all of this space. But the reason why this is so big is that because it uses the dual system with the Alex and Yag together, and those they cannot be too close together in the machine. There needs to be space so that you know, they can breathe, and that's the reason why this machine is longer. Plus, you have the vacuum system in here as well, you know, and using a cooler cooling system, you would need this Zimmer, because cryogen just really isn't enough, in my opinion. So I've gotten used to now the big and bulkiness. I have, you know, and I still think it's so much worth it. Like I still would make the same decision, because this machine is amazing. The results my clients are getting are amazing. The feel of it is better. Me as a technician, it's so much safer for me, you know, with the vacuum sucking up those plumes. I love that. And you know, the fact that I can also use this Zimmer separately, I can detach it here from the machine, and use it for any other procedures. I can move it around too, so it's not only just stuck with the laser machine. So that's another benefit of this. But I did have to make sure I had a bigger room, so it was inconvenient trying to get a room big enough to fit all this stuff. So yes, it was annoying. It was inconvenient and annoying. But I found a room that can fit all this stuff in, so I am happy. I love this machine. This is my baby. So yeah, that's the reason why I picked this baby right here, the Splendor X by Lumenis. You can come on down to 40 Aesthetics and test the laser out for yourself. Be ready for the summer. Summer is right around the corner. You start to see results even after your first treatment, so you don't have to wait after so many treatments to start seeing results. So just come on through or go to 40aesthetics.com and book your free consultation.